All right, everybody, welcome to Stadiacast, episode number 146. I'm Bill. That's what Bill does. This is Stadiacast, episode 146, recording this one Sunday, March 13th. Hello to everybody coming out and joining us bright and early because of the damn time change. This is an earlier one. As you guys will probably notice, as you find folks will probably notice, no Bill today. Bill is unfortunately under the weather. So we're going to be doing a solo Stadiacast today, talking about all the latest Stadia news, views, reviews, although we probably won't be doing any of that today. So let's get into it. Before we get started, we record this show almost every single Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern over at nerdnest.tv. You can check out all the stuff that we do over at nerdnest.tv because we have a lot of awesome stuff. I'm going to turn down this music. I'm going to get it off. I'm going to pause it because this is super distracting. So we'll do that. What else? There's ways to support the show. You can, of course, give us super chats here. We'll get to those messages at the end of the show. You can click join below and join our awesome Nerd Nest crew here on YouTube. You can, of course, go to our Discord channel over at nerdnest.tv/Discord. And, of course, if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this pre-recorded and checking out all the fun stuff that we've been doing in this episode, you can use the applaud button to do a super thanks, I think is what it's called now. Odd. I'm getting some love your shirt, Lloyd. This is it says boom. It says boom because it's a Evil Dead shirt that is like Doom. So thank you to everybody in the chat room. So yeah, so this is Stadiacast. Let's get into it. Normally this is where we banter back and forth, Bill and I, about what we've been playing. But I'm going to talk about what I've been playing because it's been an okay gaming week. I got some time in. Spending most of my time, as little as it actually was, maybe a few hours, playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The Dawn of Ragnarok expansion has come out. It came out on Thursday. And this is a premium expansion. You have to purchase it. Even if you own the season pass, you have to purchase this one because it's not part of the season pass. But this gives you a whole new main campaign, sort of. I've been looking at reviews a little bit, and people are saying it can take between 15 and 25 hours to finish the story content that's in here. And you, instead of being Eivor in the main game, you're still Eivor, kind of, but you are actually inhabiting the body of Odin. So you are actually a god in this DLC. And because of that, there's a whole bunch of new powers that they've added. So I'm not going to spoil too much here because there are some really, really good things in here. But as part of this new expansion, there's a new set of powers. And early on, when you're playing through the story mode, you get this little bracer that goes on your arm. And you can actually absorb powers from some of the enemies that you defeat to do different things. I'm going to talk about one of them. There's 5. I'm going to talk about one of them. And one of them is you get the ability to become these like lava ash beasts. They're like kind of your main enemies that you fight at the start of the game. And you gain the ability to become one of them, which is really cool because you can walk on lava. You don't have to be so worrisome about going through pools of lava when you are in this world. When you are essentially in Odin's world, there is a lot of lava everywhere because these beasts are taking over. So that's the one big thing about it. The other thing is now you can basically hide in plain sight around these enemies. They don't notice you. You have this like ash cloak that goes over your head. So you're still doing your assassin's thing, but with a cloak over your head. And you can actually walk up and assassinate people and all that stuff as well. Really, really enjoying it. It adds enough newness to the game where it feels sort of fresh. And even though I've been playing a lot of Valhalla because I really wanted to finish all the DLC stuff prior to Ragnarok. So I've been playing a little bit of the Paris stuff and the what's the other one? The Dryad or Druid expansion. I can't remember what they're actually called these days. Playing through some of that, but I didn't actually beat it. But then Valhalla came out, or sorry, Ragnarok, Dawn of Ragnarok came out, and I was like, you know what? I'm not. This is showing. Oh no! Don't. I'm gonna skip ahead because that's the coolest power in the game. I don't want to. I don't want to spoil it. I really don't want to spoil it. So I'm gonna scoot ahead just a little bit in this video. If you're watching the video version. So yeah, Dawn of Ragnarok is kind of been the big game that I've been playing. I'm loving the story. And again, you are Ivor. Or Eivor in the game. So you're still your main character. You still have all the items of your character. But in the actual worlds that you're playing through, you're dreaming as Odin, which is pretty fantastic. So yeah, very fantastic game. People are saying that my audio changed. If people in chat can let me know exactly what's wrong, because it sounds fine in my ears. So if that's not happening, definitely let me know. So yeah, that is that's Ragnarok. That is what this is. It looks like my audio is duplicating here, which is really, really odd. So let me see if I can't change something real quick while we are letting this happen. So my microphone, I don't want to go there. So let me know if this sounds a little bit better. Again, this is doing it solo. Not something that we're usually doing here. So hopefully this will be okay for everybody there. Awesome. So yeah, so that's Ragnarok, Dawn of Ragnarok. Really, really loving it. The new powers just make things that much better. And because of the way that the new powers work, there's in your skills tree, there's a whole bunch of new things that you can unlock as well. So you can get a bunch of new powers, you can level up, you can do all these really cool things. And in Ragnarok, there's a whole pile of new armor and weapons that you can find in that world as well. So this is a pretty big expansion. Looking through the achievements, looking at all the stuff that you have to do, I don't know that you could beat it in 15 hours. I really don't, because even going from story mission to story mission, the new island that you're kind of on is pretty darn huge. People say you can do it, so I'm gonna believe them. But man, it does seem like there are a lot of there's a lot of things to go explore and find and kill to actually finish that story. So really, really enjoying it. So before my mic thing screwed up, one of the things in the game which made me kind of laugh a little bit is you are Ivor. You are also Odin. You have a bunch of different names. So now when you talk to people in the game, they're like, oh, yeah, that person, they got a lot of names. And it's just a funny way that they're kind of embracing the fact that you are a god being played by the main character of the game, which is kind of a god with the storyline of the game. And you're all an assassin and all these things. So they handled it really good. And when Ubisoft announced that they were going to be, supporting this game for an extra year with extra content, it was like, how are they going to actually do that? It's a big game, don't get me wrong, but how are they going to actually keep this going? Well, they did a really good job. I'm loving my playthrough of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dawn of Ragnarok. I picked it up on sale. I think I paid $30 Canadian for it. I believe the retail price is $40 US, I want to say. I could be wrong. But yeah, there's some really, really cool features, functionality, and new powers that you get in this game. So if you've played through Valhalla and you want more, definitely check out Dawn of Ragnarok. Besides that one, I've been playing a little bit more of the Adam Wolf game that came out. Talked about it last week. I was having issues with Direct Touch on my iPad. Still having issues with Direct Touch on my iPad. I don't know if it's just my iPad, because I've received a bunch of comments either on Twitter or on Discord of people that were able to play it and have had zero issues with it at all. They didn't have any issues when they first started. They were able to bring up the text box and type in their name. I couldn't do that. That did not work for me. They also had no issues dragging things up and down on the screen. So I don't know if it's just my iPad, because I've had some issues with some other things like that. So yeah, maybe it's just me, but don't sleep on Adam Wolf. It is a really fun game. Like I said last week, it is a combination detective game mixed with point and click adventure, mixed with hidden object, mixed with a bunch of different puzzles to solve. So it's like they took all of my favorite point and click adventures from back in the day, from I don't know, Police Quest all the way up to, say, Myst, which really wasn't a point and click adventure, but it kind of was a point and click adventure. It's kind of like they took all that stuff, grabbed all the best little bits, and made a really fun and intriguing little adventure game. So enjoying that one as well. Haven't gotten too much time to play with it, just because Ragnarok has been really what I've been playing. Question in the chat room: where have I been playing it? I've only been playing it on Stadia, on my Chromecast Ultra with Google TV, and my what is it? Another device. I played on my CCU and in browser. So basically just on Stadia, though. That's the only thing that I've been playing. So I think that's it. What are you guys playing in the chat room? Let us know. Maybe we can chat about that when we get to the end of the show with what some of you fine folks are playing. So, yeah, okay. What else? Moving on. Noticing that I got some technical difficulties, so that is okay. That's what happens when you do this. That sometimes happens. I'm gonna have to grab my audio after the video has finished streaming, so that's always fun. Hey, what are you gonna do? Sometimes that happens when you're doing things live. So let's get into the show. The rest of the show. Let's get into the news. There's actually a heck of a lot of news this week. We had 3 things last week. We had or next up on Stadia's. We had a whole bunch of those things. Google is not disappointing. We got a This Week on Stadia this week. It's This Week on Stadia: Conquer Your Fears. And they're talking about all sorts of amazing things coming up on Stadia, including this: join Stadia for the Google for Games Developer Summit on March 15th. Google continues to, I don't know, hype, I want to say. Is that a good word for this? Is this hype? Are you guys hyped? I know they are hyping it up. To me, this is hyping it up. They're also just talking about it a lot. I guess other people might say that. But it's not just us here. It's not just us fans of Stadia that are getting excited. The Verge put up an article talking about how Google is hinting about Windows games running on Stadia. Google might be using something like Proton, from Tom Warren in this article, talking about sort of one of the I guess the sessions is called making a Windows emulator on Stadia for no money, or that's not what it's called, but something along those lines. Just something very light about making a Windows emulator and showing it. So a lot of people are taking that to mean that future Stadia games are going to be running Windows binaries that are going to be emulated or translated when they're running on the Google Blades and display that way. So it wasn't only Google, or The Verge rather, a bunch of different, like Windows Central was talking about it. Google Stadia may soon be able to play unmodified Windows PC games. So there is a heck of a lot of hype out there about this. I'm worried, a little bit worried, that this session is just going to be, hey, this is what we did just to see what our blades could do. This isn't something that we're recommending to other people, and here's why. Because all this hype that has been generated, all this, hey, go check this out from Google, is going to be a problem if that is indeed the case. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm actually really excited about the 15th, just to find out more about kind of the developer side of things, because I always like to hear about that stuff. I used to do a lot of software development. I don't really do a lot of software development these days. I do some web stuff. That's probably about the extent of it. But I always have some interest with those things. I really do love the development aspect of the video game industry. And that's one of the things that I've been focusing on for years and years and years as I've been doing these podcasts, whether it's Stadia, Nintendo Pulse, whatever. So I really want to know the developer side of things. But for Google to be pushing this on their Twitter account, in their This Week blogs, getting all these other outlets, I guess, really, really hyped for this. I really, truly hope that Google has something awesome to show for it. There's a lot more sessions than initially advertised. There was 2 Stadia sessions before. Now there's the keynote, and I think 4 sessions after that are focusing kind of on Stadia, at least directly or indirectly on Stadia. So it could be a really fantastic event, but I'm getting very worried. So anyway, that was the first part of this week on Stadia. But then they get into some things that are coming, like Mad Streets, which is a physics-based brawler, is coming to Google Stadia on the 15th. Really excited about this one. I know we've talked about these types of games before, and Bill hates these like Goat Simulator sort of games where you are you're not in direct control exactly over things, or you are in direct control in a very bad way. For me, I find that stuff super funny, and the thought of playing a physics-based brawler has me really excited. If anything, this game reminds me of Power Stone, which was a really fun arena-style brawler back in the day, 4-player on like Dreamcast. This reminds me a lot of that, which makes me really excited. I'm sure it's not going to be a Power Stone. It's going to be something different. But this has me really, really excited to play and play these fighting games, 3D physics-based fighting game with a bunch of crazy characters. Because these are my types of games. I love these things. Are you guys excited about Mad Streets at all? Let us know below. Would love to hear it. And then they let us know all the other things that have launched on Stadia, including Ryan's Rescue Squad. There's the little toasty kid himself from talking about the kart game popping up every 3 seconds like the toasty dude in Mortal Kombat. This is a more classic platformer. It looks really fun, but obviously it skews super, super young. Not a game I am going to play myself, but I know that if this comes on Stadia Pro in the future, I'm sure that I have enough young kids in my family that they're going to be super excited to play this one, Ryan's Rescue Squad, on Stadia. There you go. Elder Scrolls Online Next Big Adventure sets sail with Ascending Tide. The first part of the Legacy of the Bretons year-long adventure kicks off this week with the launch of the Elder Scrolls Online Ascending Tide. So launching on March 14th, you can get access to Ascending Tide add-on content via the ESO Plus membership with crowns from the in-game store or on Stadia. So this is one of their mini updates that ESO does, where they have like the main big update that you buy is like a $50 expansion. And then they have these smaller ones, which you can buy with in-game crowns, or if you're part of ESO Plus, you get access to all that stuff. I haven't played ESO in so long. I kicked that habit. I kind of want to play it again. The new stuff here looks really good. Maybe when I get my Steam Deck, that'll be the one of the first MMOs that I play on it is ESO, because it looks really good. But of course, they are fully supporting Google Stadia as always. You can check that out on Google Stadia. Curl up with the latest chapter of Dead by Daylight. Sadako. I've never read this out loud. I've just read the word. Anyway, Sadako Rising, which is inspired by the Ring series, or Ringu in Japan, books and movies. If you like creepy long-haired lady that crawls and climbs through TVs, this content is all for you. I'm gonna nope right out of this video because I don't like this. I don't like this at all. But you can check all that stuff out in Dead by Daylight. Another game that is just getting ridiculous support here on Google Stadia. Of course, it's a game that's getting ridiculous support on every platform. They're continuing to come out with new monsters and new villagers. I don't know what to call them in Dead by Daylight, so I'm just going to call them monsters and villagers. They keep coming out with new content, new powers, new whatever. Dead by Daylight is as huge as it ever was, it seems. So you can definitely check that stuff out. And if you want to play Dead by Daylight, Stadians will have the chance to play Dead by Daylight for no cost. It'll be available until the end of the day on March 14th. So about one more day if you're listening to this one live as we record it. So definitely go check that one out. People in the chat are asking what time the summit is. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks to everybody in the chat for letting everybody know. So this week on Stadia, they're continuing to put out some amazing news. we all know, we talked about it here at length on the show, that Google recently changed the way that they're doing things, going from every week. There was a This Week on Stadia at exactly 10 a.m. Pacific on Tuesdays. That has changed. Now they're doing bi-weekly, but it does seem like they are getting way more content out, even though they've gone to what they said was a bi-weekly release schedule. Obviously, they took a lot of the feedback from that survey to heart, and a lot of the things that people were saying is, we want a roadmap. Well, they added a keynote to the start of the Google's with Games Developer Summit. Hopefully that'll be roadmappy enough for what people want. But they're also coming out with a lot of these blog posts, which is a really great thing to see. It just shows people that the platform is alive, that the platform is doing what it needs to do, which is get out there, get people excited, and encourage them to check out a game on Stadia, because it really is, for a lot of people, the best way to play. You can play it on any screen, anything, and the more people that get to try it, hopefully that will continue or convert some of those people to Stadia fans. More people playing on the platform brings the platform to more people, which then expands the platform, brings it to more eyes, expands the platform. That's just kind of the way that growth happens. But keeping this news coming out is such an important thing for Google to do. So I'm really glad to see that is what they are doing. So anyway, that's This Week in Stadia. Let us know what you think. Are you excited about Mad Streets? Any of these things? Or, I don't know, Ryan's Rescue Squad? Whatever. Let us know. We'll chat about that in a little bit when we get to Crowdplay. All right, next up. So not only did we get a This Week in Stadia, we got a Next Up on Stadia as well. This one dropped not too long ago and proceeded to blow a lot of minds, because a lot of people have been asking for these games, or games like this. So this is really exciting. So next up on Stadia, coming soon, is Cities Skylines, Overcooked All You Can Eat, and Golf with Your Friends. So first, City Skylines. If you're not familiar, City Skylines is like, it's like SimCity turned up to 11. I've played a little bit of this game on PC and really liked it. Someone that I used to podcast with every once in a while, listen to their shows, etc., used to stream this game all the time, and I was always so jealous, because at the time when he was doing it, my PC couldn't handle Cities Skylines, other than in like a very basic level. I had a really bad PC back in the day. Of course, my machine now could 100% handle this, but that doesn't matter. I'd much rather play this one on Google Stadia. So City Skylines will be coming out this spring. We don't have a release date on it, but if you're not familiar with it, you can build a city of your dreams. You can simulate traffic, water, electricity, you name it. You can set your different policies for the different districts, your tax rates. There's a full day-night cycle. There's even just a metric ton of DLC to add different things. So if you like huge interstates with like 18 lanes that are all kind of crisscrossing, doing like the spaghetti thing, that is there. If you want to make a city that is completely renewable energy dependent, you can do that as well. There's a bunch of DLC for big, just electric vehicles on your car, and putting windmills instead of coal or gas burning power plants, and all those things. City Skylines, such a fun game. This is going to be fantastic on Google Stadia. I cannot wait, because even on like console, like if you pick this up and you're playing it on PlayStation and you have a big city, it bogs down very badly. It's not a fault of the platform. It's just that's the way the game is. I've seen some really ridiculous cities. So super excited for City Skylines. And then up is Overcooked All You Can Eat. So this is sort of a amalgamation of all the Overcooked games put together. So all of the maps from Overcooked 1 and 2 are in this, with a whole pile of different chefs that you can choose from. There's a bunch of unlockable chefs and things like that. You can get together and play multiplayer with your friends in multiple modes. This is a game that literally can be played by anybody. There's a lot of text, of course, so maybe the youngsters might be a little bit more hard pressed to be playing this game. But once you get into the whole cooking thing, pretty much anybody can play this. And if this game is going to be as popular on Stadia as I think it is, I can see a bunch of different Overcooked nights popping up all over the place for people to jump in and play this game. The original Overcooked, I dubbed it as the game to ruin marriages because I sat here with my wife. We started playing through Overcooked, and we realized after a couple missions that, maybe it isn't a good idea to be playing this game together because we were being very competitive with each other, even though it's a cooperative game. So maybe playing with 4 people on screen might make things a little bit easier or something like that. But yeah, online multiplayer is baked into this one now. So you can play with your friends, you can play with your enemies if you choose, and you can cook some food, which who doesn't want to cook food? Cooking food is great. And then finally in this list, Golf with Friends, which I'm not familiar with this game. Apparently it's been out for a while. This is from Team 17. So we had Team 17 for Overcooked, and then up here we have Paradox Interactive as the publisher for City Skylines. So we got some new people doing development on Google Stadia, which is really good. Which is really, really good. But Golf with Friends, there was a racing game back in the day called Trackmania, and you might have seen videos in the past of just like 1,000 different cars going over ramps and leaving kind of ghosts as they go over the ramps and things like that. That's a part of Trackmania where you could see kind of everybody that has played that course, kind of what their lines are, how they got to where they got to, maybe show you ways of how you can kind of scrape off half a second or whatever if you're trying to come in first. That is what this reminds me of, except with golf, which mini golf, which is even better. This looks ridiculous. There's a 12-player multiplayer, so you can play with up to 11 people simultaneously. So you are all playing at the exact same time, which is ridiculous. I remember playing PGA Tour with Bill when we were kind of playing I can't remember the mode. It wasn't speed golf, but it was whatever that mode was called. And you could actually see Bill's shot kind of land right by me as I was taking my shot. A little distracting. This is going to be that times 11 because 11 other people are joining you in mini golf. Very, very excited for this one. So Golf with Your Friends. This one's coming in April. A bunch of different power-ups, bunch of different game modes, full level editors. So if you don't like the levels that exist in this this little mini video that's playing, you can make your own little castle and have people play through your mini golf. Why not? It looks like fun. And then of course there's a full customization, so you can put stupid hats on your golf ball, like a pirate hat. You can change the color of your balls. In the game, you can. It looks like you can adjust the colors individually as well. So if the presets aren't what you want, if you really want that particular shade of purple, you can do that with the customizations. It's always kind of funny when they say, "Look how many customizations are in here." It's a golf game. You're hitting a golf ball around, but the fact that your golf balls can basically get hats is going to make the multiplayer stuff even more ridiculous. So I can't wait. Golf with Friends looks so good. That one's coming, as I said, in April of this year. So very, very soon. Then you have Overcooked also coming in April. And then we have Cities Skylines with, I hope, all of the DLC available as well. That is coming spring. So hopefully that'll be coming in April as well. We'll see. Just crazy amount of awesome announcements over the last little bit. Not only this week in Stadia, but we had those multiple game announcements last week. We have this game announcement this week, Golf with Your Friends, Overcooked, City Skylines. I don't think we're going to have a problem hitting that 100 person or 100 games added to the Stadia library in 2022. I think we are well on our way. In fact, if you look at some of the websites like Stadia Source, when they have a list of the games that are upcoming, there's a lot of games that we actually have release dates for or release windows for when before we didn't, which is a really good thing to see. So yeah, keep it up, Google. Love seeing this coming to my email and blog reader, RSS readers. Keep these awesome things coming. All right, and if that wasn't enough, Google came out with another blog post. Play the best of Ubisoft on Stadia with new games and add-on content. So more games, more content. Love this. Really, really love this. This is a really good way to push kind of the Assassin's Creed Valhalla stuff, Dawn of Ragnarok, which I chatted about earlier in this episode. You can wield the power of a god, absorb new abilities from those you've defeated. My favorite part of this new edition is the ability to absorb the different powers. Love it. Journey into a Norse myth. From underground forges to soaring golden peaks, immerse yourself in a vast and perilous new world of Norse mythology as you embrace your fate as a Norse god. New enemies of ice and fire. I already talked about the fire people. If you know kind of what's happening in the in-game, I guess, story or the kind of the world that you're in, you're going to have ice giants as well as the fire giants. So there is definitely a bit of a fire and ice thing going on. And you get to experience Odin's personal saga, which is great. So talked about this already. It is good. I can't wait to get back in and play through this game. Hanging out with dwarves, forging new weapons, finding new powers. This has just been so much fun. So you can check that out on Stadia right now. Trivial Pursuit Live, the world's most well-known trivia game, is coming to Stadia on March 17th. Experience the thrill of competing on a TV trivia game show at home or on the go, featuring question formats to challenge players. So this is a TV show version of Trivial Pursuit Live, which you'll be able to play on Stadia on March 17th. So that's good to see. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Get ready to play the new Demon Vale season, which is coming next week. So this is going to be the first season of year 7 in Siege, with Demon Vale, which is a new operator, or I guess new content pack with the new operator Azami to the game's roster. She uses kunai blades to make barriers for cover, which is kind of interesting. I guess you toss the knives and they turn into a barrier or whatever. Looks really interesting. If you're into Rainbow Six Siege, you'll be able to get some more content for that. And then, of course, Assassin's Creed Valhalla Discovery Tour of Viking Age. You can immerse yourself in the Viking Age thanks to Discovery Tour. Players will roam freely through Norway, England, and the mythical realms of Jotunheim and the Asgard map, free of conflict or gameplay constraints, and relive history through stories with 8 major quests. You'll get to interact with charismatic, historical, or fictional characters, including King Alfred, shipbuilders, monks, and more. So if you've already purchased Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you'll be able to jump right in and play through this. If you've ever checked out these discovery tours, like there was one for Assassin's Creed Origins where you could go through kind of like ancient Egypt. Very cool. So they really show sort of the I guess the development that goes into the worlds of these games, where they take historical facts, they take historical pictures, they develop and build these worlds to look sort of what they would if you were existing at that time, but then they tie it together with history from point to point to point to point. Very cool. I'm really surprised that there isn't a version, like a cloud version of Assassin's Creed that has the Valhalla stuff, the Origins, and I'm blanking on the one that came out just before Valhalla. I'm blanking on the name of that one, but whatever. I'm surprised that they don't have those tours all built into one app and then release them free to schools so that kids can go and play through these amazing adventures, kind of like a museum, but it's a museum that you can go through and play. Ubisoft does such a great job with these things. And Odyssey, thank you, Jared, in chat room. Yeah, doing too many things. I have too many windows open and too many things going on for that to pop up in my brain the way it should. So yeah, Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla, put that all into one world, then you get like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, and then you get like kind of like the Norse mythology stuff in Valhalla. You could really show this stuff off in schools and have kids really excited about learning because they're playing through Assassin's Creed without the stabby. So teachers wouldn't even have to worry about that, which is a really good thing. So hopefully they can do more with this stuff. And then the follow-up last line in this email, more Ubisoft games are making their way to the Stadia store for you to look forward to, including Oddballers and Tom Clancy X Defiant, which is something that we learned about a while ago and haven't heard too much about it there. So I don't know. What do you folks think of all of these blog posts that Google has been doing lately? This is the most communication I think we've ever had, which is great. Getting 3 blog posts a week, whether they're this week in Stadia or just next ups, or just general blog posts like this Ubisoft one. I'm really, really excited for kind of the future of Stadia now with this communication from Google. I was really worried there for a while that we just weren't going to get the level of communication that we hoped for, but it definitely looks like that has been turned around, which is a very, very good thing. So I'm kind of like blowing through all the content in here. I forgot how much playing off of another person can kind of spread things out a little bit. So we might actually be finished this episode before too much time. Everybody get your questions, comments, and thoughts in the chat room if you want me to talk about them in Crowdplay. Would love to do that to kind of wrap up the show. But before we do that, friend of show John Scar over at 4 Scars Gaming posted this one up based on a Reddit post, and that is Capcom is hiring for a new position, which is engine development. This is development work for the RE engine, which is Capcom's in-house engine. You're in charge of the part that supports the entire game engine, including design and development of the underlying library, verification, yada, yada, yada. They go to all the platforms that it's going to be on: PS4, 5, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PC, Stadia, iOS, Android, etc. So they're hiring for a platform engineer for Stadia as part of it, so that they said the S word. Capcom isn't done with this platform, which is really great to see. And this just joins all of the other amazing job postings that we've been seeing across the industry where people are talking about Google. Stadia is obviously not dead, according to everybody that is making games for it. So that is a really, really good thing to see. So yeah, hopefully we can get a little bit more from Capcom, news from Capcom before the end of the year. Obviously, it takes a lot from when you hire someone to when they can actually make some really big changes to change the way that you're doing stuff. Hopefully, we can get some news before the end of the year on Capcom, because that would be great to see more Resident Evils come. Maybe Resident Evil remakes, bring those over would be fantastic. Reverse, there you go, Maker of Chaos. That one needs to come to the platform still. Maybe they're still fighting with engines when you get into the multiplayer stuff. Maybe the engine isn't as performant as they had hoped, so they need some time to get that working. Yeah, who knows? But hopefully this means that we're going to be getting more Capcom games on Stadia. I would love to see more of their library make their way over. All right. And then last up for news this week, in a very, very big news week here on Google Stadia, or I guess in the Google Stadia world. And this is the latest Stadia APK. This is done by Jack Deslip. So you can go check that over at the Pants Network, PNTS Network. This blog post is going to be updated every time there's a new binary. And it looks like with the Stadia 4.6 update, which came out on March 7th, there are some codes in this new update that let us into some potential future updates for Stadia controllers. Obviously not for the Stadia controller itself, because this guy doesn't have an accelerometer built into it. But maybe the potential of using this as a Stadia controller, your phone, to do motion sensitive gaming. So there's some new strings that they found in the binary. use motion sensors with touch gamepad, device motion config, sensor to gamepad field configs, device motion config, sensor to gamepad field config, device motion config, exponential transformation, whole bunch of things. But they're all revolving around the ability to use a motion sensor of some sort in gaming, including ways to map your motion controls to button presses. So vertical value to button map or horizontal value to button map. What that leads me to believe is that if you're holding your phone and you tilt it all the way back, you could have that trigger a button. So instead of having to hit a button, you could just move your phone down or move your phone up or left and right. That makes me very excited. I know that Google has kind of sold out of their Stadia controllers. They don't really sell as many of those premium packs. The $22 deals are gone. So a lot of people have these things kicking around. Unfortunately, these ones don't have motion controls, and a lot of people really love motion controls. So I hope that not only will you be able to use your phone in future versions of the Stadia app to do motion controls, but they will actually start supporting motion controls, whether you're using like a PS5 or an Xbox or a Nintendo Switch controller that has motion controls built in, all the accelerometers built into it. Because Bill, for example, he loves motion controlled aiming when he's playing first person shooters. Personally, I don't, but it gives that ability, that extra functionality to people that will allow you to play games the way you want, which is kind of the, I don't know, that's the slogan. That's the advertising slogan for Google Stadia. Play games where you want, how you want. Be able to support more controllers with more functionality on those controllers is going to be a good thing. So I'm secretly hoping that this comes, but then just allows us to use physical controllers with motion controls as well. That would be really good for people that really like it. And in continuing in the breakdown, there's some per game customization. So it's not going to be an all or nothing thing, which makes a lot of sense. Some games you'd probably want motion controls on, others you wouldn't. It looks like this might be part of a future update to the touch control method where you can maybe sort of customize what your touch control screen looks like, which would be really good. And yeah, there's a bunch of other things in here as well. If you want to check it out, you can head on over to Jack's amazing continuously updated Stadia APK findings blog post over at the Pants Network, pntsnetwork.com, and check those things out there. So yeah, this is really exciting. More updates makes me happy. There was an update recently, March 1st, for the Android TV as well. So we got 4.6 on Android, and then we got 4.5 on Android TV, which adds some other things. So Google is constantly updating things, which is a really, really good thing to see. So that's gonna about do it for news. So we're gonna look at the chat room a little bit. We might actually end this one maybe 10 minutes early, just because it is a solo show and it is hard to do a full hour sometimes. But I'm gonna go through all your questions, get them in below if I've maybe missed them, so that we can have a better look at some of these things. Please, Capcom, give us a Monster Hunter and Lost Judgment. ELCN, yes. Getting more Monster Hunter would be, or getting Monster Hunter at all would be really good. I know a lot of people love that. Lost Judgment would be great. The Stadia Adventure, do you think a 60 FPS toggle will come to Odyssey now that the Gen 9 consoles have a stable 60 FPS build? That is a really interesting point. So recently, Assassin's Creed got an update for Odyssey on Xbox that I was watching someone talk about, where you can lock your frame rate for 60 frames a second, getting rid of a lot of the complaints for these kind of older cross-gen Assassin's Creed games, that they were kind of locked with kind of the limitations of the last-gen consoles, even though they're running on newer hardware. I would really, really love anytime that you can get 60 frames a second. I'm a big fan of. For the longest time, I was playing Assassin's Creed on graphic mode, so I wanted the best looking game, but that would frequently dip under 30 frames a second. I don't have a frame counter on, but you can tell if you've played enough games at 30 or 60. You can tell when things aren't quite as locked down as they should be. Um, since then, that was a while ago. Since then, I've been playing Assassin's Creed locked in performance mode. I want to have the highest frame rate possible, and be able to do that in Valhalla has been great. It would be nice to do that in Odyssey or Origin. Get those games at a higher frame rate, which would make it a better experience for me, someone that doesn't like things to be laggy when it comes to frames. It's weird. My gameplay on Stadia went from just loving the fact that you can jump into Stadia and play games at 4K. And that was, for me, that was the only thing that mattered. Was it 4K? I just bought a new TV. I bought 2 new TVs. Oh, I bought a new monitor. Okay, I want to experience everything in 4K. I've changed from that to, you know what, 1080p upscaled at 60 frames a second is most times better. That's kind of how my opinion on things have changed through playing for a year. So yeah, Stadia Adventure, getting Odyssey updated to have a 60 frames per second mode, whether it's always 60 frames or you have to turn on a performance mode or a graphics mode, similar to what you do in Valhalla, would be really, really great. So yeah, hopefully we get that. So thanks for that question, the Stadia Adventure. Let's keep going down. I can't see. It just scrolled down. Wouldn't it be nice if they had a Stadia education program? Just put the AC Discovery Tour stuff, Creda, and some other stuff for schools. Yeah, we've been talking about that here forever. When Stadia was really playable well on Chromebooks, it made total sense to advertise these to schools and get a bunch of educational games added to the store. This is kind of like a a thin edge of the wedge, driving it into a door to kind of open it up a little bit, to get people playing on your platform. I know, for example, my daughter, she plays on her Chromebook all the time. She plays Terraria with mouse and keyboard. She'll play other games with like a controller, and she doesn't almost ever load up Stadia on a television. She is mainly loading it up on her Chromebook and playing it that way. Which is interesting. It's just kind of a different way of doing things for her. She enjoys it. She enjoys playing that way. I prefer the big screen, and that is one of the best features of Stadia for a lot of people out there. But having more educational things on the store and introducing a mode for teachers, which can lock down things a little bit more and allow everybody in your classroom to play these things, would be a really, really cool way to do it. So I'm excited to see that happen in the future. I'm still going to cross my fingers and hope that it happens, because I think this could be huge for Stadia. All right, let's scroll up a little bit. Let's see some other things. If you want to ask for GTA, okay, no, that's not it. RG Geek, we need more local multiplayer games, and seeing new Team 17 games give you hope that Worms will eventually come to Stadia. Yeah, Team 17. I like their games. They had a little bit of a run-in with the NFT the NFT word. They wanted to do some things and didn't listen to their community, and then their community blew back really hard, and they had to do an about face really, really fast. So I know they have a bit of a black eye in the industry right now. Hopefully that isn't something that lasts very long, because Worms was one of the games that I would play with my friends all the time. Scorched Earth would have been the first one, where you have a bunch of different weapon loadouts. If you're not familiar with Worms, I think everybody's familiar with Worms these days. But it's a game where you are a worm and you fire your weapons at other worms on a 2D plane. Your weapons actually explode a bit of the world. So if you miss, you can actually like carve away at some of the land that these enemies are standing on, and they can fall to their death, things like that. Played a lot of Scorched Earth back in the day, played a lot of Worms. If we get like Worms Armageddon on a Stadia, that would be a fantastic game to add. Amazing multiplayer stuff. A lot of great multiplayer gaming can be had in these types of games, which would be a heck of a lot of fun. I'd just love to see Scorched Earth come back. I would love whoever owns that IP to just republish it the exact same way, 640 by 480, stretch it out to from that to whatever screen you're playing on. That would be a hell of a lot of fun to play. So that would be really great. Now your mama knows. Q&A. It's been some time now. Do you finally agree with me that Spartans are... Okay, that's enough of that. That Spartans are better than Vikings. I do not agree that Spartans are better than Vikings, mainly because I have Viking blood in my body, and I don't have Spartan blood in my body. So I have to come out and say that Vikings are better. I was growing a Viking beard. I had my little Viking beret in the front. I know you cosplay as a cowboy, and now your mama knows, but I don't see you cosplaying as a Spartan very often. I was cosplaying as a Viking, so clearly Vikings are better. Thanks for that. Stadia Adventure, OG Lemmings to Stadia would be great. Yeah, Lemmings. Lemmings was like a terrible game when I first started playing it. I'm like, I don't understand why people want to play this. Like, this is trash. And then I learned about all the different things that you could do, all the different ways that you could quickly make your way through a level, and I played the heck out of Lemmings. I loved it after giving it a chance, and coming back to that would be really great. That would be fantastic to see. So yeah, Stadia Adventure, Lemmings to Stadia would be great. Tori M, do you plan to play Destiny 2 Witch Queen? It's a great expansion. I know Bill was playing it. He really enjoyed it. I picked up the last expansion, Beyond Light or whatever it was called. Blanking on the name right now. And I did something in the game. I said, okay, I've tried to make Destiny stick. I played a heck out of Destiny 1. I love Destiny 1. I all the content in Destiny 1 except for some of the big missions like the raids and things like that. I played everything up to that stuff. Loved Destiny 1. And then when Destiny 2 came out, it just, for some reason, it didn't stick with me. So whenever the last expansion came out and I picked that up, I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to pick it up. I'm going to buy the season pass. And if I do not complete the season pass in time, I'm going to stop trying to play Destiny. And I didn't finish the season pass. I didn't even get halfway through. So I think I'm done buying new Destiny expansions. I pop in every once in a while to check out some of the content that I already have access to. Witch Queen looks fantastic. The new missions, the new raids, a lot of the new stuff that I've watched streamers play looks absolutely fantastic. I just don't have the time right now for a game that I'm married to. So we've talked about this on the show. I listen to a podcast called DLC. And the hosts there talk about games that you're married to and games that you're dating. So a game that you're married to, you come back to all the time. It is always there as something that you're playing. You do play with other things every once in a while, but you always come back to that game you're married to. I don't have one of those right now. I'm kind of jumping from game to game to game to game. I just don't have time for a game that I would have to play as much as I would with Destiny to properly level up all my tunes and all these things. So yeah, not a game for me. I'm super happy that you're enjoying it, Tori. But yeah, I'm gonna not pick that one up yet. Maybe in the future I will jump through that Witch Queen stuff because it looks really, really good. And hopefully Elden Ring kills the practice of microtransactions. Yeah, Elden Ring doesn't have microtransactions, which is great. I was reading an article about Chocobo Racing GP came out for Nintendo Switch and other, I think, PlayStation and Xbox, not on Stadia, so it's not a Stadia game. But this is a $40 retail game that launched with essentially the same sort of stuff that you would have in a mobile game. So you would have to buy gems to unlock characters. You would have to play 8,000 races to actually unlock the final character in the season pass. I hope that stuff goes away. I truly, truly hate those types of microtransactions. And yeah, Elden Ring is a game that you could spend hundreds and hundreds of hours in without DLC or without paid microtransactions. It seems like it's a pretty crazy affordable or it's a lot of bang for your buck, whether you can actually get there or not, because the game is really hard. Whether you can get to that content, who knows? But yeah, the game itself is really good. All right. I think that's it. I think that's it. I think that's all the questions. So, you know what? I think this is a good place to end it. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and hanging out for a solo Stadiacast. I know it is... it's always better when Bill's here, but he unfortunately is under the weather today. Hopefully we can talk to him next week on Stadiacast. But yeah, I think that's going to about do it for me. So take it easy, everybody. It was so awesome hanging out with you for a Sunday. Clayton, just rewind it. That's the best part about YouTube Live is you can just go all the way to the start. So I know you missed most of it. Just go all the way back. Just rewind a little bit. That would be great. All right, everybody, take it easy. We will talk to you here next week on Stadiacast. Be sure to head on over to nerdnest.tv to check out all the other stuff that we're doing here. Check out the On Deck podcast. And you can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Dasme. DASME on Twitter. Would love to chat with you. That's going to do it for me. Take it easy, folks. We'll talk to you here next week on Stadiacast.